Good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock and my name is Elize and it's my pleasure to welcome you to our regular weekly HubLive session. And as you would see, I have Phil Martin on the couch with me today. How are you, Phil?
I'm great, thanks Elize. How are you today?
I'm very, very well. Thank you so much for joining me at short notice to talk about leadership. That's right. So as you know, we do these HubLives to encourage our business community to adopt best business practice and also to adopt technology to grow your profit, grow your business, be more efficient, save time, and just make everything in business better and easier generally. And so we've been doing that by talking through the system, which I'm sure everyone's super familiar with by now. And we've finally arrived at leadership, and we've had some diversions along the way. But today, I'm hoping to put the system away. Like today is our last system day. How
Excellent.
Good is that?
That is great news.
That is great news. Until I introduce the next one, of course.
Okay.
Because I can't work without a system.
That's right. We always need a system.
Too random. I can be way too random. I need systems.
Okay. Yeah, me too.
Okay. Awesome. So, Phil, we both had the pleasure of talking last night at Central Queensland's leadership.
Yes, we did.
Seminar. What did you think about it?
It was really interesting. There was a large number of students there of all different ages and backgrounds. And some of the questions were fascinating, and meeting some of them afterwards was very cool as well.
It was interesting. We had some really, really inspiring future leaders in the room. I'm excited to see how the future unfolds with such great people working their way into the workforce. Yeah,
it was very cool. One of the students came up to me afterwards and said, "So what are some of the things I can learn that aren't taught at university?"
Oh,
yeah, which was really interesting.
Let's talk.
and you could answer with just about anything, but the main one I talked about was communication and empathy and how to talk with staff and customers and how to listen.
Oh, I love that so much. Communicate, like you just rattled down 4 or 5 super big topics that if you're able to master those topics would make all the difference in the world, not only to your business, but also to your personal life, really, and your career. Yeah. Okay, so leadership is the topic of the day. I'll just make one point. Leadership is super important. In fact, the rest of the system in business, marketing, sales, delivery, money, systems, team, and direction sits on top of this foundation called leadership. And really what it's meant to be is and I think it actually is, a tiny bit bigger than everything that happens up here. And the reason for that is that your business will never outgrow your ability to lead. So if you want to grow your business, one of the best places to start is by growing your own leadership. And when you grow as a leader, you're able to lead your team and you're able to create greater business success, which is obviously what we're all doing, what we're all in the game of doing. So tell us a little bit about your business background, and then I'll ask you more specific questions about your leadership style and what you've learned.
Sure, sounds good.
So how did you get into business?
I've been building software for about 20 years now. And I sold my first bit of software when I was 19, I think, to an overseas company in Germany, some 3D modeling software, and that was pretty amazing. And but at that time, I lacked the drive or fire to actually run a business.
What did you think when you made that sale? Did you think, "Oh, this is cool, I'll just go and work for someone"?
No, at the time I went, "Wow, I can finally afford a slightly better computer."
That's cool.
I was very, very tech focused at the time. So
that's cool.
That was very rewarding.
Hi Monique, thank you so much for joining us. I'm on the couch with Phil Martin. Obviously we're talking about leadership today, and I'm just asked Phil to tell us a little bit about his story and how he actually got into business. So 19 and you sold your first software, and then you bought a slightly better computer.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I didn't have very large goals at that point.
Yeah.
Just being able to do the next thing on my computer was pretty high on my list.
Yes, good.
So that was good. So that was my first taste of it, and I was fortunate enough to grow up in a house where my dad ran a computer business for many years, doing computer repairs, but also software development as well.
I'm going to sneeze. Can I just sneeze?
Sure.
This is live. Awesome.
But if you talk about it, it doesn't happen.
Yeah. Just a heads up, I might sneeze.
Excellent. And then I needed money for various reasons and went out and found a job. Very fortunate to find a job in Rockhampton, almost unheard of back then and still is today, unfortunately.
In the software development
Yeah.
world.
I worked at my boss's house building software for an international mining software company.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and he ran a massive team from his house, spread across Perth, England, South Africa, all over the place. It was very cool.
Wow.
And I got to learn a lot from that guy. So I just had a normal-ish software development job for a number of years, and then about 6 years ago, I had a job for an engineering company in Gladstone, which were downsizing, and I convinced my boss to take me on as a part-time contractor, and I used that as my platform to start my own thing.
So what have you always wanted to be in business for yourself, or it was just a decision that you made later in life?
It was a decision I made later in life, and it was more of an opportunity thing rather than a planned thing.
Yeah.
It's very hard to find jobs in Rockhampton, so I needed to either make them or go somewhere else.
Yes.
And going somewhere else wasn't an option at the time, and isn't for the foreseeable future. So I thought, why not? I'll just try and make one, see what I can do.
Nice.
And if it didn't work, then I'd go back to the other option of finding work. I mean, it was a no lose situation, so I had to try something.
Oh, good. Excellent. So that was 4 years ago?
5.
5 years ago.
Yeah, so Bitplex has been running for 5.5 years now.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Congratulations. You made it over the 5-year milestone.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
95% of businesses don't make it to 5 years. That's incredible. Well done, Phil. Well done. And not only did you make a job for yourself, you've also made jobs for other people in Rocky.
Yes.
Doing software development.
Yeah, that's right. So I employ 4 people in Rockhampton now, and I have 2 staff, one in the Sunshine Coast and one in Hervey Bay.
Oh, that's so awesome. So you yourself are running a remote team?
Yeah, I am now, because because of the constraints you have running a regional software company, you have to employ a remote team. There isn't enough capacity here. Yeah. But I'm very fortunate to have the team I have. They're phenomenal, and I'm so grateful for them. And they're far more responsible for Bitplex still running than I am.
Wow, that's really great. What you just did was the hallmark of a great leader, which is giving credit to the team. That's something great leaders do. So tell me about your vision or your view on leadership. What does that word mean to you, and how do you go about leading your team, and what have you learned from some of the great leaders that you've worked with?
Okay, that's a very
that's
big topic.
3 questions
that's
in
right.
one.
Let's see if I can do that. So, not for a moment do I profess to be an expert in leadership or have finished learning about that. I've had to learn about it because I have a team, and I didn't even realize it was important until I had to show some of the attributes that leadership requires to have an effective team.
When was the moment when you realized, I actually need to do this, I actually need to be this leader?
It happened. My first staff member, Brad, he was working for me for a while, and then we needed some more help, and then I realized I was actually the impediment to the team. It wasn't sales, it wasn't marketing, it was me.
Yeah.
I was the one holding the team back.
Wow. And therefore the business in a
exactly.
way.
Yeah. So because I was the barrier, everyone was getting frustrated with me, and I needed ways to fix that. And that hasn't really stopped.
That's still the case today.
So I fix one thing, and then everyone does the team does a bit better, and I do a bit better, and then I hit the next block. And then it's a non-stop thing. I don't imagine it will be ever done.
No, it's never done, is it? No, especially leadership is never done. The requirement for leadership just continues to grow as the business grows.
Yeah, very much so.
Yes. Okay, so tell us about your leadership style.
My current leadership style is to try and empower my staff and the people around me to get the stuff done that matters to them. So to try and remove as many roadblocks as I can, whether it's technical or psychological or team-based or personal or whatever it is, just be there to support the team in whatever capacity they need, and to listen to them because they are the experts in their fields and not me.
Okay, so to summarize what you just said, I love that approach, by the way, absolutely love it. So to summarize what you just said, your job as a leader is to remove anything that might prevent your team from doing the work that they already want to do.
Yes.
That's why they're there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's good. So is that a difficult job, do you find?
I find that really difficult
Yes.
because the demands of business are many. It's not just about, if you had an unlimited budget, you could spend all day empowering everybody, but you don't. You have demands from sales and marketing and worrying about revenue and cash flow, and someone's sick and we need to find a way to finish a project, and there's all these competing priorities that you don't always get to do the things you want to do, which is unfortunate. Yeah.
So tell us about the leader that you worked for before. So you mentioned that last night. I think one of the students asked you about leadership.
Yeah.
And you gave a really great answer.
Yeah, so the first professional boss that I had, Steve Carter, he's the one that ran the R&D department for Serpac Software at the time. And he was a phenomenal guy. He ran the whole R&D department and was a big driver in the company for many years. And he did it all from Rockhampton. And there were so many takeaways I got to learn from him. And one was not being afraid to confront a problem. And that's something I really struggle with today still. It's an ongoing thing I have to work on. But whenever there was a technical issue or a personal one, he was the first one to pick up the phone and talk to people. So
when you pick up the phone, that first line is always a tricky one, right? Because you set the tone for the conversation when things are not going well.
Yeah.
It's what you say when you make that phone call is really important. Can you remember what he said?
It varied depending on the severity of the issue. But I don't remember all. I don't remember many of the details, but sometimes it was as simple as, "Hey, I've just noticed this thing's broken. We really need to fix it." He can be quite direct, and other times it can be it could be, "Oh, hey, I've noticed that there's a whole bunch of these things happened. Can we talk about that now?" Yeah.
So the moment he would realize that there was a challenge or a problem or an issue, he would confront and address it straight away.
Very much so. Yeah, and wouldn't wait until he felt better about it, or wait for you're always aware of timing. You don't try and step on toes, but sometimes the issues are too big to wait, and you just have to confront them head on.
Sometimes these conversations don't have an ideal time because they're not ideal conversations. So you just, almost the ideal time is as quickly as possible to get it out, just done, just fix the issue.
Very much so. And I find that the more challenging the issue, the more likely I am to procrastinate about it, which is not an ideal thing. I don't recommend that at all. It does not help.
Yeah, it doesn't make it worse.
It makes it so much worse.
Yeah. So what not to do?
Yeah, what not to do is to put things off.
Yeah, got
Bad
that.
plan.
Okay, so the next thing that you mentioned last night was about listening, and you mentioned that a little bit earlier as well, that listening is a great leadership skill, which kind of doesn't feel right, because when you're the leader, aren't you meant to be the boss and tell people what to do?
Yeah, you can, and you do get some measure of results that way. But in order to do that effectively, you essentially need to fully understand the other person's job and skills and personality to instruct them in the minutiae and detail required to get the job done. And those people are usually called micromanagers, and nobody likes them very much. And find them incredibly frustrating to work for.
Yeah.
So listening, on the other hand, my staff are unbelievably smarter than I am, and together we're smarter than any one of us. And they know their job really well, and they've done the work, and they understand the customer more than I will. And it would be irresponsible of me to not listen, because they know what they're doing, and I need to trust my staff, and I need to trust the people around me as well.
Wow, that's amazing. So how do you know what the right questions are to ask?
You never know for sure, but some of the most effective ones I've seen used and used myself are, the question is, what have I missed? And just open-ended questions are often better, rather than saying, do you think this is a good idea? Because what you're really doing then as a boss is saying, I'm going to subtly tell you what to do, and I want you to agree with me to make me feel good.
Yes.
Which doesn't work.
No.
So
that's not the same as asking and listening.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to fall into the trap of doing fake questions, where you drive the conversation to a particular endpoint rather than taking a step back and going, you know what, my opinion doesn't matter that much. It's actually more important that the team comes up with a solution which almost always turns out to be better than what you'd thought of in the first place anyway.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so good questions. What have I missed? Any other good questions that you can share?
What have I missed is the big one, or what do you think we should do next?
Yeah.
Or can you see any major problems with that?
Yeah. I like that. That's good. 3 solid questions. Okay, so in terms of ensuring that the business travels in the right direction, which is the topic that we discussed just before, the whole idea of direction. Do you have any thoughts or insights around direction and ensuring that things go in the right way, or do you prefer more of an organic approach?
No, I do, and that's something that's a continual struggle internally for us. Because we're such a technical company, all of our staff are highly technical, myself included, and we find that we spend more time doing the work rather than working on the business and the strategy and the bigger picture stuff. How we go about linking those two is we're still trying to figure that out. We don't have a great answer for that at the moment, but every few months we do strategy meetings and talk about where's the company going, who our ideal customers are, and how can we service them best. And then aside from that, we talk about all the staff and me, and where do we each individually want to go, and how can we shape the business in order to support that.
Oh, I love that. I think you're doing better than you realise, Phil.
Maybe.
In setting the direction.
We'll see how the results go.
You're still here, right?
That's right.
After 5.5 years, that's amazing. Okay, and you're growing.
Yeah,
so those are 2 very good indications.
It is, yeah.
Very, very good. Okay, so let's just recap what you said. So setting direction and linking direction to the team and leadership, what you do is you actually involve your team in setting the direction for the company.
Yes.
And you do that by meeting everyone, doing little strategic meetings every quarter or so. And the questions you ask, and I imagine that you whiteboard the answers.
Sometimes, yeah. We're trying different formats, and yeah, we're trying different things. Whiteboarding or even email is fine because we're on our computers all the time anyway.
Oh, so you sit in a room and email each other?
Usually, yeah.
That's fun.
or
technical people.
Or use Slack or whatever, because some of our team's remote.
Yeah.
It's not always fair to have some personal interaction and some digital. Sometimes it's easy to just do it all digital.
True. Okay, so you use either a whiteboard or some digital channel to gather your team's thoughts on 3 very fundamental questions. Where are we going? Who are our ideal customers? And how can we serve them best?
Yep.
And I think if you continuously look at those 3 questions and you do that as a team, you're going to be very, very directional and very specific and strategic about how to take the business forward.
Yeah.
But then what I really love is that you also look at where your team wants to go. So each individual in the team, you ask them what are your specific goals and what is the direction that you want to take, and you try and marry your customers' needs, your business's needs, and your team's needs.
Yeah, and they're often competing concerns.
They are, funnily enough.
So.
Yes.
And yeah, so have we done a great job of that in the past? Not necessarily. But we're getting more organised and doing the things you described.
I think just even knowing that you need to do them and having a go and improving the process as you execute the process, as you're doing the doing, that is so valuable, so valuable.
It is.
Instead of just knowing that you need to set direction and not being quite sure about how to do that or what that is, or how do you set goals or KPIs, or how do you set the vision for the company, and how do you decide which projects to take on which projects to say no to, or which direction to pursue, which customers to pursue. And lots of questions. Absolutely. Okay, so do you have any other parting information about leadership that you'd like to share?
Nothing really big comes to mind, but the main one is just to read as much as you can or listen to talks online of people you respect and admire, and talk to other people in the business community and about how they do things. The worst case scenario is you learn what not to do, because everyone has those stories.
That's a bad story.
Everyone has heaps of bad stories,
and
even that can help shape your decision making.
Oh, absolutely. Do you have a favourite book? I do. Do you have a favourite book on the topic?
A lot of the books by John Maxwell I really like.
Yeah.
He breaks it down in ways I can understand. And yeah, so I get a lot of information from there.
Yeah, I totally agree. My favorite book is by John Maxwell. I think I've shared it with you before. I've actually had a copy or a picture of a copy on my iPad, I think it was, when we spoke about systemizing your business. It's called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell, and I recommend the workbook where you can actually go and reflect and answer some questions yourself and do a bit of a self-analysis and then also see if you can improve your leadership. So that's a really great book where you can easily start if you want to improve your own leadership style. And believe me, making that investment in yourself is well worth the effort and the time, because it will help you lead your team better, and when you lead your team better, that helps grow your business. And I know in a world where we're all super busy and there are always burning demands for our time, making that time to do what's important is tricky sometimes. But again, I highly recommend that you just schedule even an hour a fortnight to focus on your own leadership development and your own personal development. That would make a huge difference. Now, you are part of our Smart Hub team
Yes.
in terms of delivering, being one of the experts in our Turbo Traction Lab
yeah.
program. How's that going? Are you enjoying it? What's it like for you?
I am enjoying it very much, and it's really great to be involved with so many different people and their projects at all these different stages. There's always different challenges, and it's really exciting to watch people enthused about what they're doing, which gets me excited, and then we can work together to solve whatever problems they have on the day.
That's so awesome. So really, Phil, you are one of our 8 experts that most of them travel to Rockhampton, but you are our local tech expert,
that's right.
which is we're very fortunate to have you here. And then also you've one of our, I think, were you the very first Smart Hub member?
I was the very first Smart Hub member next door.
Yes, in the building that now no longer exists.
No longer exists. I took a photo. It was a little sad.
Oh, it was a little sad. I agree. And you're still a Smart Hub member. You went from being an in-house member, and then outgrew the space, and we demolished the building, and that happened simultaneously.
It did, yeah. I kind of had to move because the building was going to get destroyed. So.
True, yeah. And so you're in commercial premises now?
I am now. So we've just rented a space in just a few hundred metres down the road near Pilbeam Theatre, and it's really good. It's a much better space than we had. Yeah.
And the team's happy there? Much
happier. So it's going really well.
Awesome. And what's your experience of being part of the Smart Hub community and being part of the Smart Hub?
It's been really pivotal and important to us, but particularly in the early years when it was just me. Without the Smart Hub, I wouldn't have been able to grow my team to the first and second staff member, which was absolutely critical. I wasn't in a position to afford commercial rent. The margins just weren't there at the time. And so being able to hire and expand in a safe environment and have access to resources and learning stuff, it's been exceptionally good.
Awesome. Well, we've really enjoyed having you as part of our community.
Oh, excellent.
Our first member.
That's right.
That's a very big badge to wear.
It is.
Very first member. That's so awesome. Phil, Martin, if anyone has something that they want developed in terms of software, how can they get hold of you, or what kind of software do you actually do?
So we do a lot of consulting to businesses. So if you run a business and you need to streamline your processes or get one bit of software to talk to another piece of software and reduce your data entry time and things like that and just make your business run better, then that's the kind of stuff we specialise in.
Awesome. And the best way to connect with you would be
through my email address. So,
okay. Cool. And we can. We're good to share the email address on the comments.
Yeah, we'll just put in the comments. It's much easier to copy and paste than to read out loud.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Awesome. Mr. Phil Martin, Bitplex, thank you so much for your time.
Elize.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts on leadership, and thank you for everything you do to contribute to our Turbo Traction Lab and our Smart Hub community. And if you have any questions about how to become part of our community, or how to become a member, or just how to slot into any of our events, please feel free to reach out. We would love to answer any questions for you, and we'd love to hear from you. Until there will be no HubLive next Thursday because I'll be in China. But the week after, we look forward to being back with you, and maybe I'll be sharing some stories about our trip in China. We are presenting, Drew Stevenson and I are presenting at the High Tech Fair on in the Smart City Forum, and we're presenting around what we do here in Rockhampton regarding smart city tech and how the Smart Hub has contributed to the community. So we look forward to that, and then we look forward to seeing you again the week after. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
See you
Phil.
later. Bye.